that. Even in Japan, we had our own shadow government called the Financial Clique before the war. After we lost the war, it was destroyed by GHQ, and it has been over 40 years since that happened. There's no guarantee that a new shadow government hasn't been born, since we are as good as using connections to make good arrangements. Takano Mio is, in fact, at a conference of such a shadow government. It may appear to be a guest house at a huge golf course, but there are no golfers inside, but by appearances that must be. Yeah, but that's wrong. This isn't a golf course, it is a huge backyard. The guest house is in fact a very stylish mansion. Normally people would be surprised to learn that this is a private residence. Oh, the fucking dream. The interior is as lavish as the exterior. There are beautiful carpets, expensive looking decorations on the wall, and expensive looking bottles of alcohol on the shelves. Fuck carpet. Give me fucking hardwood. Throughout. All hardwood. Marble. Yeah, gaudy as shit. Don't need expensive alcohol bottles. Don't need them. Fuck that. I'd rather just pay for nicer shit inside my house. Fuck decorations. That's what the kind of room Takano is in. There's a knock on an old man in a wheelchair, and a young woman who's pushing the wheelchair come in. As Takano stands up to bow, the old man stomps her with his right hand. No, you don't need to stand up. Long time no see. I've been telling you to come see me any time, but you never come. Ah, God, I've heard that one a lot. It's great to see you, Koizumi. The old man sits down on a sofa with the assistance from the woman. He's very old. His face is wrinkly and he can hardly do anything on his own. Shame. I know that. I've seen that too. However, he is still very powerful and influential. Oh boy, you haven't changed a bit, have you? I see lipstick on your neck. Wrong one. Huh? Is that right? Oh my, how embarrassing. There's no lipstick on his neck. The woman who was helping him with his wheelchair is too beautiful to be a helper, so she suspected something. Takano guessed right. Although he's so old he could die even tomorrow, he wants to stay sexually active until the very end. Okay, dude. Okay, buddy. Even the Grim Reaper would think that's just absurd. Mio, you've become quite beautiful yourself. You're not a little girl anymore, huh? Please stop coming on to me. Oh, stop it. If you really think that way, why did you try to touch my bottom, huh? What have you got to lose from having an old guy like me touch your butt? I'm sure you have plenty of chances to touch a softer butt, don't you? Sure. Takano and the old man enjoy their tasteless conversation. Obviously, they've known each other for a long time and are very close. The young woman comes in to serve tea. After she leaves, the old man starts to speak. Anyway, I'm so proud of you, Mio. I'm sure your grandfather in heaven is proud of you too. I hope so. I'm not even close to my grandfather's great work. Takano wasn't lucky in many different ways. The era he lived in. If he lived in a different era, I'm sure he would have finished his research. But he lived in that era, and ironically, that was why he noticed the existence of the Hinamizawa syndrome. The world is in the nuclear era. The United States and Russia are staring at each other with mounds of nuclear weapons. With mounds or nuclear weapons at their backs. Whoever has more nuclear weapons gets the right to speak. But Japan has abandoned nuclear weapons because of the 3 non-nuclear principles. A country without nuclear weapon is useless. How sad. Sad face. Not really useless, it's just more that you have a less chance of getting nuked. In the mid-Showa era, although the East and West were under extreme tension, they ended up having a Cold War. Yes, which was like a fake peace because of the nuclear weapons. All the major countries with nuclear weapons became permanent members of the United Nations. To increase the advantage of their nuclear weapons, those countries regulated the world with treaties, and stopped all the anti-nuclear countries, including Japan, from rising up. For Japan to become a nation that can compete with the world, it must find nuclear arms or something that's as powerful. Some people actually thought that. Realistically, Japan will never arm itself with nuclear weapons. I know. The citizens won't accept it. Even if the government ignored the citizens' opinions and armed itself with nuclear weapons, it wouldn't work. By abandoning nuclear arms, Japan gained the deterrent power of the United States. Although some people actually thought the way for Japan to become equal to the United States is to get nuclear arms. But realistically, that's impossible. Even if Japan arms itself with nuclear arms, that wouldn't automatically let Japan join the great power. What? Join the great powers, okay. Takano and the old man discussed the balance of the nuclear weapons in the world. The sound from the cuckoo clock reminds me that to go back to the main subject. God, it's so odd seeing that spelled out. Because most people just say it. It's very rare to actually see it written out. The old man points to the attache case that's been sitting next to Takano. Takano nods once and opens it up and takes the contents out. There are brand new bills packed in it. Dope. How much is actually in there? A bundle of new million-yen bills is 1 centimeter, so there must be at least enough to make up 8 digits. Fuck yeah. There are also 2 more attaches. Fuck off. Cases by your side. But neither Takano nor the old man are surprised at all. Takano closes the attache case and bows. Thank you very much, Sensei. I'll never forget about this. Ha ha ha. Money should be handled by younger people. I can't take it to heaven with me. I hope this money will help you. Use this wisely. Spend wisely. Of course I will. I'll use this money only to make my grandfather's dream come true. I envy Takano. What a wonderful grandchild he has. I'm sure he's bragging about you up there. I haven't done anything yet. When I complete my grandfather's research, then I'll have earned praise. I'm so envious. My boys are no good. They are only interested in making money. It's more important how the money is spent. How you contribute to the country is what's most important. That's how you repay your own country, you know? Oh, are you saying that treating all those lovers so lavishly is also a repayment to your country? Of course. When they shop, the country makes money. Tax, baby. Money goes around, you see? However, those lovers will buy some foreign goods. Things may not work as this old man thinks. Takano chuckles. Oh, there's still an import tax. They still get something. As long as they don't go outside. Like, if they'll have to pay, like, shipping and shit. Usually, the country of origin will take a little skim off the top. But the money I give to those women and the money I give you are completely different. I know that very well. You've worked very hard. You've kept the trust and support from so many people. I'm telling you this for the first time, but Hariyama and Mochizuki both weren't sure about you because of your young age at first. Ha ha. That's why I acknowledge your effort, and that's why I'm giving you this money. Yes. Also, for me to give you this money means I recognize you as the official successor of Takano's research. Thank you very much. Thank you for believing in me. I truly appreciate it. No, don't mention it. This research is Takano's and yours also. He wouldn't want anyone else to take over. So thanks to all of your effort. I didn't have to convince other old people that much. To complete my father's research is the least I can do for him. I won't hold myself back for anything. Takano smiles as she remembers everything she had to go through to get to this point. To all the old men in front of Takano, she is their grandchildren's generation, maybe even younger. Takano had to go through a lot to gain the trust from these people, who were from the different generation. When she has to go through something that's almost impossible to explain. But Takano won. She gained allies, drove away enemies, and gained supporters. And had people recognize her existence. She spent much time gaining the trust of those elders and finally became who she is today. That's why for her to be here today is a success in itself. Now she has a powerful backing and she is ready to complete her grandfather's research. I'm glad we're getting to know her backstory. I'd have been very disappointed if I didn't. Well, now that you're officially continuing Takano's research, there's something I need to tell you, Mio. What is it? The old man pauses and pulls an expensive cigarette from the cigarette holder on the table. Takano lights it up for him. Oh, thank you. Takano doesn't smoke. She knows the old man smokes, and that's why she has a lighter in her pocket. Such little things have added up for her to gain trust. Takano didn't notice the Hinamizawa syndrome in Manchuria, not Japan. Yes. According to his journal, starting around the 15th year of the Showa, soldiers from Hinamizawa sent to the Kwantung army came back with terminal phase symptoms. Then he predicted the existence of unknown parasites in Hinamizawa. During the war, people sometimes went crazy. Those Hinamizawa soldiers who were sent to faraway battlefields were forced to spend days under extreme tension, and they came down with terminal phase symptoms, which led them to get deranged. But that was in the middle of the battlefield. Nobody suspected that anything was behind that. At the time, Takano was working as a military physician in the Kwantung army. He was researching the prevention of different infectious diseases. And one day he noticed that some derangement incidences were occurring among those people from the same hometown. He suspected the symptoms were only with people from Hinamizawa and started to research it. Then he gathered soldiers from Hinamizawa in the research centers as workers and studied them. He found out about the curse of Oyashiro-sama and confirmed the existence of parasites with strange characteristics. Some may wonder how he could be so sure that the symptoms were caused by parasites. In the beginning of the 20th century, it was proven that some unknown diseases were caused by bacteria and parasites by German doctors. It wasn't jumping to conclusions by saying there was some kind of unknown pathogen behind unknown diseases. For instance, we know that beer, sure, let's go with that. It's caused by a lack of vitamin B1. But in the early 20th century, it was considered to be an unknown pathogen. Yes, my grandfather predicted that the research would be valuable to the army, so he asked for a budget, but they just laughed at him. Her grandfather was a very talented and passionate researcher, but he didn't know how to appeal to others. The Hinamizawa syndrome, the possibility of an existence that lives in the human brain and controls emotions. Although he noticed something nobody else noticed before, her grandfather never even had a chance to appeal his great work to anybody. Not only that, he couldn't even find any supporters without even being evaluated fairly for what he had done. His life ended. Independent research has its limit. Talented people, funds, backup. A research project can be successful only if all of that is there. Takano noticed his mistake, and that's why she did everything she could do to get all of that. At the time, the military authorities expected something would be cheap and it'd work immediately. Although Takano's research was interesting, it wasn't needed in the military. I heard you were the only one who understood my grandfather's research, right? His journal, he calls you his best friend. We came from the same hometown. It was a miracle to run into someone from the same town on the distant battlefield. Although we weren't close in age, we became very good friends. So we talked a lot. He told me that this could be a revolutionary research project, and he asked me to make arrangements for funding many times. I read in his journal that you talked to many different people about the research. Unfortunately, his research was never recognized, but I'm sure your support meant a lot to him. But I couldn't do anything for him. That's why I want to help you, Mio. To help you is like atoning for my mistakes. Thank you very much. He was lucky to have you as his best friend. It's too bad that people like you weren't in high places in the military. Because if they were, then his life wouldn't have been like that. The old man closes his eyes and pauses. He then looks far away and speaks. But that isn't the truth. People in high places were interested in Takano's discovery. What? That's news to me. Then why didn't they recognize his research? Something came up, and they couldn't let him research the Inamizawa syndrome. Only a few of the top brass and I know about this. Everyone else is already dead, so I'm the only one who knows about it. Now. Since you're continuing the research, I need to tell you about it, Mio. What came up? What was it? Takano believed until this day that her grandfather's research was ridiculed by everyone, and that was the reason why it was never recognized. The grandfather asked the military for funds so he could reveal the secret of the Hinamizawa syndrome during the war. But just like the old man said earlier, the military wanted something that worked immediately. That was why they weren't interested in his research. That's what she believed. But the military was actually interested. They don't want it revealed to the public. They want it weaponized, obviously. Before I go on, I need to explain about the Guangdong army in Manchuria at the time. The Guangdong army was in Manchuria, but people disagreed whether to go up north or down south. At the time, Japan had troops in Manchuria, but they couldn't agree whether to go north to contain the Soviet Union or go south to expand the territory to secure resources. Resources? Fuck the Soviets, unless it's during the summer. I'm not fighting them in wintertime. Because of its location, the Soviet Union had always wanted an ice-free port. So they wanted to expand their territory southward. That resulted in the Russo-Japanese War. Japan won the Russo-Japanese War in the history books, but it was actually a concluded peace due to the Portsmouth Treaty. Both sides simply got exhausted and decided to stop fighting. Russia didn't give up and surrender completely, so Russia will always be talked about as a menace. Later, the Russian imperial government fell in a revolution, but Japan still couldn't discount the new Russia's threat to move down south. According to the history books, Japan went south. They signed a non-aggression pact and abandoned the north. As a result, the Soviet army concentrated on the Far Eastern forces. The German army came close to Moscow, but they counterattacked them and reversed the tide of the war. The non-aggression pact didn't guarantee that Japan wouldn't attack them. That was why they couldn't fully concentrate on the battle against Germany, since the Soviet army had to divide their forces in the far eastern areas. Germany and the Soviet Union had agreed on a non-aggression pact. Germany attacked the Soviet Union. Furthermore, Japan and Germany concluded a military alliance. With that in mind, it is understandable that the Soviet Union couldn't trust Japan even with the non-aggression pact. Clearly, history lessons. Ironically, the Soviet Union was the one who broke the pact, but I won't go into that now. Yeah, I was going to say that. I'm pretty sure the Soviets were the ones to start invading more. That's exactly right. Hitler agreed to the Triple Alliance and expected Japan to contain the other side of the Soviet Union, the Axis powers. But Japan abandoned the North. Because the German attack was so strong, they agreed on keeping their eyes on them. Even if they were to head north, that was only because they assumed Germany would take Moscow. However, the plan was exposed and the Soviet army sent all their heavy tanks to far eastern borders. Then Germany was defeated in the battle for Moscow, and after the Battle of Kursk, Germany was defeated completely. Yeah, fucking Germany shit the bed when it came to Russia. They shit the fucking bed. Never attack Russia in the winter. It was a turning point in history, huh? During the Cold War, the Soviet Union was recognized as a powerful country. But at least in the 15th year of the Showa era, the Kuomintang army didn't think it was. Japan won the Russo-Japanese War, and it was just assumed the new Soviet Union government wasn't steady enough. That underestimation was corrected in the Nomonhan incident in the 16th year of the Showa era. Although it was a short period of time, Japan's Guangdong army fought with the high-tech Soviet army. Japan realized they shouldn't fight with them, and started to lean toward the non-aggression pact between the two countries. But at least until the Nomonhan incident, the Guangdong army was aware of the Soviet army, and the indecision about the North and South divided army. Therefore, in order to conserve the strength of the possible upcoming war with the Soviet Union, There were certain voices that opposed an all-out war with the Chinese, but turned into the Sino-Japanese War after the Roko Bridge incident, right? July of the 12th year of the Showa era. Fuck. Japanese and Chinese armies were staring at each other in the Roko Bridge Peking. It was the middle of the night of July 7th. The Chinese army attacked the Japanese army in training, and they entered a state of war. This triggered the long Sino-Japanese War. According to the records, that incident triggered the Sino-Japanese War. But at the time, the Japanese army was also arguing about whether to fight against the Chinese or not. Actually, the general headquarters gave an order to settle things quietly. The North faction claimed that there was no point in fighting with the Chinese and wanted to settle things quietly. However, the South faction decided to dispatch more troops to China. They came with a belligerent plan against China, and Japan and China started an all-out war. After that, Japan changed the strategy in the war against the Soviet Union. Japan signed the non-aggression pact with the Soviet Union and decided to go south. The Sino-Japanese War got worse and worse. If the Roko Bridge incident hadn't taken place, there's a possibility that history would have been very different. But maybe we ended up fighting in a war anyway. However, if the South faction didn't get that chance, the military authorities would have kept restraining the Soviet Union, and the Soviet Union would have had to divide their forces to east and west. And maybe Germany could have invaded Moscow. Then Japan could have gone to Siberia. The map could be very different today. In regards to Russia, possibly. They're gonna still get shit on by the Americans, though. I mean, it still doesn't change the fact that they were getting their ass whooped. Well, actually, by that time, were they starting to get their ass kicked in the Pacific? I think they were. By that time. Because once the tides changed in the Pacific, Japan was over. There was no way they could win. No way. Germany wouldn't necessarily have won the war if it had succeeded in taking Moscow, because England was keeping its strength on the other side of the Channel, and the United States was poised to start a war. Napoleon once invaded Moscow, but he evacuated because of the cold winter. Is it one of those ifs? IFs. The Axis would have won the war? No. Nope. Even without Russia, the German side, the Nazi side, would have been really hard without Russia. But the Japanese side, it wouldn't have really changed anything. The America would have still taken down the Pacific and the Japanese Empire. Then they would have focused all of their force on Germany and hopefully eventually pulling back. It would have just taken longer probably without Russia. Maybe 2 or 3 more years longer. Just because of how efficient they were, but you just eventually whittle Germany down. Just America could outproduce everyone. With planes, bullets, people. It just wasn't even a competition. They just outproduced, outmanned, outperformed everyone. Blew them out of the water. It was not a competition. Once the American war machine started cranking. Took a little bit to wake up. There's a possibility that a gunshot from the Roko Bridge incident changed the history of the world. Both sides had different opinions on who fired the first shot, right? Of course. Kind of like who fired first in the American Revolution. The American Revolution, yeah. Who fired first? Was it the British or was it the Americans? No one knows. Probably the Americans. According to the Japanese side, a Chinese soldier fired a shot at a Japanese soldier because he was too close to the Chinese camp. However, the Chinese side claimed the shot was a conspiracy of the Japanese military. But the shot was fired. Even though nobody knew who actually fired the shot, it triggered the Sino-Japanese War. That's what the history books say. But Sensei, what does that have to do with my grandfather? In the Roko Bridge incident, Shot was fired at a unit that was training in the middle of the night. Everyone was called for a roll call. They were missing one soldier. This soldier came back later, and it was said that he was sent as a messenger and got too close to the Chinese camp. Anyway, that's your grandfather. This soldier was from Hinamizawa. Never mind. Huh? Really? When Takano was talking about the Hinamizawa syndrome, he said soldiers from Hinamizawa could suddenly fall into a deranged state. And we realized that the soldier from the Roko Bridge incident was in fact from Hinamizawa. Then what about the Roko Bridge incident? I don't know the truth, but there is a possibility that a soldier with the terminal phase symptoms of the Hinamizawa syndrome fired the shot. That soldier was killed in the incident. Since there is no record of it, nobody knows exactly how he died. The Japanese side claimed and negotiated with the fact the Chinese army fired at them. A few days after the incident, Japan requested an apology from the Chinese side, and as an industrial action it decided to increase divisions. The Chinese side opposed. And the situation got worse all of a sudden, obviously. Nations are not very friendly with each other. If the researcher of the Hinamizawa syndrome continued, people thought it would influence what the Japanese are claiming in a negative way. They didn't want to step into a political gray area, so they rejected Takano's research. So that was why my grandfather's research wasn't recognized even after the war. That's right. The war is over, but there are still some conflicts after regarding the historical recognition. Even if Takano didn't mean for it, if the research of the Hinamizawa syndrome came out to the public, it would have brought back the subject of the war, which was already over. Some authorities were afraid of that, so they made sure its research was ignored even after the war. I was also told not to help him in any way. Takano tries to be calm, but she can't stop herself from grimacing. She just found out the reason why nobody showed interest in her grandfather's research. It was because of the secret maneuvers of the masterminds. For the masterminds to be so fearful, they must have acknowledged the importance of the research. She lamented her grandfather's lonely life. However, they are all dead now. I'm the only one who knows about it. If Takano was still alive, I was going to apologize to him and support him completely. But he's no longer here. That's why I'm apologizing to you and offering you to give my full support. Are you sure? Would my research on the Hinamizawa bring up the subject again? It's different now. Besides, the Hinamizawa syndrome isn't just a local disease. Depending on the outcome, it may even make post-war Japan one of the great powers. Fuck. It all comes back down to they want just a fucking super weapon. It's all what it comes down to.